This week, I want to talk about vocal delays and how to make them silky smooth so that they fit into the mix and they don't stand out. And many of you probably already know how I feel about reverbs on a vocal. I have a whole video on this topic right here, but I'm going to show you 3 different tricks that I use to hide vocal delays into the mix a little bit better, make it less conspicuous so that you can add length and flowiness to the vocal without it sounding like there's a bunch of delays on the vocal. And if you mix vocals a lot and you want some cool tricks for how to make your vocals sound more professional, I have an awesome free downloadable guide on my vocal delay secrets. So if you're looking for a step-by-step guide or a bunch of recommendations of vocal delay settings, that guide is awesome. Check it out in the description. So this week we are working on a track by a band called Eden Rose. This is a song that I mixed and mastered. Let me give you a little sample. So this is a massive track, and it's just screaming for the vocals to have like a big flowy delay on them. So if you've watched any of my vocal delay videos, you know I use several different delays on my lead vocal. I usually use like a quarter note, I usually use a ping pong delay, and then I'll do something really long. And I also set these all up as send effects. Why do we put it as a send effect? It's because we want to pre-process the delay before the signal gets sent to the delay. If we set it up on our inserts track, so if we put a delay directly on our lead vocal here, anything that we do to pre-process that vocal then changes the tonality. Okay, so we can't just directly change how the delay sounds. We have to change the actual tone of the vocal, which is not helpful at all. Okay, so that's why I set these up as send effects. All right, so one of my favorites is an 8th note ping pong delay, which is synced to the tempo of the track. This gives the vocal a ton of width. Let me show you what that sounds like. I will find a way to clear. So that's without any delay. Let's put on the delay. So yeah, it's loud, kind of obnoxious, and it really stands out, especially if we go back to the mix. Let's listen to it in the context of the song. Okay, clearly it's too loud. Let's dial that back. So right here, it's at a good level where it's kind of adding a lot of length and space to the vocal, but you can still hear it, right? It kind of jumps out of the mix. So let's go to the actual vocal delay. Let's add, before the delay, a DeEsser. You're probably wondering, like, Bobby, what are you doing? Check this out. Anytime we have stereo information bouncing around, our ears are gonna identify that, okay? We're gonna localize that as like a weird ping pong delay. But if we have a DeEsser in front of it, it takes off all the sharp sounds that catch our ear and draw our attention to the left or right side. So if you put a DeEsser and we're literally gonna make the vocalist sound like they have a lisp, right? We really wanna shave off all of the aggressive sounds. It's gonna feed the delay with a much smoother signal, which then tucks it into the mix. So check this out. Without. With the DeEsser. It really kind of helps to hide and mask the sound of the delay, but it's still there. It's still adding the width, and it still makes the vocal larger than life. Let's check it out in the context of the mix. It sounds much, much smoother, and it's a lot harder to identify that there is a ping pong delay while that lead vocal is going. All right, so my second trick for getting delays to hide in a mix is to EQ the delay. If you happen to have a delay that has a built-in EQ section, like a high pass or low pass filter, it makes it super easy. So I'm using Waves H delay. You can use any delay you want. As long as you set it up as a send effects, you can just put an EQ before your delay, and I'll show you how to do that in 1 second. But basically, we want to just roll off all of the high frequency stuff down to like 1K, maybe 2, 3K. Okay, you got to use your ears on this one. But getting rid of that high frequency information does basically a more aggressive version of what the DeEsser was doing. Okay, so we're getting rid of the higher frequency stuff that allows our brain to localize the sound source and makes it tuck into the mix a little bit better without any low pass filtering. And honestly, something that muddy sounding is okay. You might consider rolling out some of the low end to keep the vocal clean and not add a lot of mud to your vocal mix. But sometimes that warmth sounds nice. All right, so let's go back and listen to this in the context of the mix and hear what it sounds like with and without these filters. Here we go. Okay, again without it. Especially when there's that little break, you can really hear the vocals jump out without any of the filtering. So now if you don't have this type of filtering built into your delay, all you need to do is just add a generic EQ before it. Okay, I'm just using the stock EQ from Cubase, and then you can do all your filtering right here. So if we want to roll off all the high frequencies, we can do that. And if you want, you can actually get really surgical and try to boost or cut frequencies that might be a little bit pokey in the delay. Like that kind of sounds a little muddy, so you could actually cut that out then. And doing it that way actually gave us a lot more control over the clarity of the delay, right? It sounds much smoother and not as muddy as these filters that are built into this plugin. Without the EQ. There's no need to say goodbye. I wanna make you cry, dealing with mistakes. I'm a mess. I am still around. I will find a way to clear my mind. Cool, that sounds great. And actually, I prefer that EQ delay over the built-in filters that were on that H delay plugin. So my third and final tip for you to get your delays to hide inside of a mix is to actually feed your delay into a reverb plugin. Now, this is something that I love doing. It adds a tremendous length and space to a vocal. At the same time, you need to be very careful because you can very quickly make your vocals a muddy mess. Let me show you how to do this. I'm going to do a little bit of pre-filtering again. So we're going to take stuff out below about 150 and 2K or something. Good enough. I'm just going to throw just a stock reverb right behind it, okay? So we want the mix to be 100%. We want this to be totally wet with reverb. Sure, you can adjust it by ear, but I find that usually a very wet reverb on top of the delay helps to smooth out all of the delay repeats, especially if we're dealing with a ping pong delay. Okay, and I have the reverb length to almost 2 seconds. So let's just bypass the delay and hear what the reverb sounds like. I feel like it has a little bit too much high frequency, so I'm just going to pull this down a little bit more. Right there sounds really good to me. So rolling off these high frequencies is going to also help hide the reverb from the listener. Okay, let's hear what happens when we feed the delay into the reverb now. So you can feel it, it just kind of glues everything together, right? The reverb is gluing the delay ping pong repeats to itself, and it just makes it sound super lush. Let's hear what that sounds like with the vocal.
I don't wanna make you cry, dealing with mistakes, I'm a mess.
Let's get rid of the reverb.
I don't wanna make you cry, dealing with mistakes, I'm a mess. I am still around.
Let's put that EQ back in and see what that does.
Clear my mind, take this time and drive all night. Clouds above, what am I thinking of?
So the combination of the EQ, the delay, and the reverb give the vocal a huge sense of space. And let's hear it in the context of the mix, because I bet you're not going to be able to hear it even though the delay that we've made is super loud. Check it out. Man, delays can be so cool when you integrate all those different pieces with it. So when you mix vocals, what do you do to your delays to make them fold into the mix better? Have you ever considered putting a DeEsser before a delay before? Let me know in the comments below. I want to remind you that I have that awesome free downloadable vocal delay secrets guide waiting for you in the description. And with that, I want to thank you so much for your time and attention today. My name is Bobby Balo. I'm the mixing and mastering engineer at Raytown Productions, and I hope to see you in another video.